So here's what's going on. So Carlson supported Trump at first because it was for economic reasons. The Democrats were focused on wars, the war with Russia and Ukraine, helping like that. The Democrats were spending money on international stuff, and they weren't focusing on the economic things. So what Carlson saw with Trump was someone who could at least focus on the economic well-being. But I think he had a sense that Trump would abuse human rights. But well, I don't know. He probably didn't have the sense. Nobody thought Trump would go this far, but you could see some parts
Yeah.
of it because Trump was beginning to rile up violent people to get into office. But I think Tucker Carlson thought that it could be reined in, and he had no idea that Trump was actually an insider. Because Tucker Carlson probably thought, oh, Trump is an outsider. He's a little bit violent, but we need to first get these insiders out, and then, like you said, start stress testing him and having him change. Now, okay, so I think Tucker Carlson was against immigration because he felt it was a stress on the American population. Now that goes something totally different from saying you're against immigration to packing people up and throwing them into like Trump, throwing them into tents or having xenophobic riots. You should treat people with dignity, even if they get deported. Like in the U.S., sometimes somebody might come here from Britain and not be here allowed properly. After a certain while, they say, okay, you have to leave the country. But what we see is that he didn't realize that this immigration thing that Trump is doing would explode like this. And most Americans, even the Democrats, are for immigration control, but they don't like the way Trump is doing it, in which he's violating human rights. You see what I'm saying? What do you think? I think he still believes, yeah, we should have immigration enforcement. We should have ICE, but they shouldn't be using violence, or they shouldn't be arresting people without due process. They should arrest people with due process and do it properly, so that we won't say that it's a boomerang where Americans say, "Oh, we allowed our government to go after immigrants. Now it's turning on us." What I would say is that the government was supposed to go after immigrants the proper way, and they didn't. And the boomerang is a separate thing. Is that the government has always been anti-human rights, so that they won't do immigration properly within the framework of human rights, and they also won't treat you properly when you do the protest. So the problem was not that you allowed them to do anti-immigration. The problem is that America has allowed this country, like what we said on the other show, to be imperialistic, to treat black people as second-rate citizens, to bomb and kill other countries. Now, when they're doing the anti-immigration, they're killing Americans. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think the problem was
Yeah.
the immigration, because whether you it's a philosophical debate as to whether there should be ICE agents on the streets deporting people. Some people say you shouldn't deport anyone. Some people should say there shouldn't be borders. But I think the real problem is that they're doing it through the armory of the state as a fascist organization, which says that it's trying to deport people. Well, what it really is trying to do is control people, whether you're an immigrant or not. And even this immigration movement is just to make money. Trump is making
Yeah.
the bill that Trump passed is for $450 million, I think. No, not 450 billion. I think it's 400. Maybe it's even 450 billion. But whatever it is, maybe let's say it's half of $1 billion. Most of that money is going to his friends. So Trump is not really interested in deporting people for to help America. He's doing it because it's a business. And I think that Tucker Carlson is identifying that, and he's like, wait a minute. I was for Trump or anybody else controlling immigration, but now I see that this is not about controlling immigration. It's about seizing more power. What do you think?
Definitely misjudged Trump's relationship to power.
Yeah.
He thought Trump would just use the state as a blunt instrument temporarily to break elites, reset the system, scare the bureaucracy straight, and then pull back. What he didn't fully clock is that Trump doesn't really believe in limits once power is in his hands. That's what is really showing.
Yeah, yeah,
Enforce to Trump, enforcement isn't a tool of last resort, it's a proof of leadership.
yeah,
So from that angle, Carlson's shock makes sense. He helped solve this idea that strongman energy could coexist with human dignity. And now he's watching the state, or let me just say Trump behave exactly like,
yeah,
dictators
yeah. And I
act.
would even go further than you. I don't think Tucker Carlson has ever believed in strongman.